Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Wanted to do a new update on the ongoing civil war taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia. We continue to see the Oromo Liberation Army make advances in the northwestern Oromia region, as well as continuing operations in the southern Oromia operations, besieging the cities of Bulhora and Gele Borana. We continue to see OLA forces interdict supplies and other resources coming in through Kenya. And again, that trade route, that supply route coming via the south areas of Kenya, moving up towards Addis Ababa, are fairly precarious in terms of the OLA having the ability to shut down and interdict that fairly important trade route into the former state of Ethiopia. We continue to see the ENDF and its regional forces continue to be really focused on the deployment of the Tigrayan Defense Forces. We continue to see the majority of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, those federal army forces, positioning itself facing the Tigrayan Defense Forces in the northern Amhara region and towards other areas such as Debark, facing towards DRK. We continue to see the forces that are engaging the Oromo Liberation Army west of Addis Ababa and obviously in southern Oromia as well. The majority of those forces tend to be regional forces, not actual ENDF formations, but again, the utilization of federal police forces in conjunction with regional forces, Oromia regional forces, or even Amhara paramilitary forces, and even Eritrean army forces in some elements, in some cases, supporting the forces that are fighting the OLA. But right now, it appears that the main body of the ENDF, the B loyalist formations, those federal army forces, to include Republican Guard forces, are predominantly focused with the defense of Addis Ababa and the areas around directly within the environments of Addis Ababa. And at the same time, we continue to see, as I just talked about, the ENDF deployed out of concern for a possible renewed offensive push by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. So a lot of the capabilities that we have seen from the OLA are directly the result of the Tigrayan Defense Forces drawing a lot of those ENDF, those B loyalist army formations, kind of away from any kind of offensive push towards the many areas that the OLA controls, especially in western Oromia, and obviously it continues to be a concern for the ENDF about the prospects of another possible operation by the Tigrayan Defense Forces. And again, that's a very possible outcome. At any point, we could see renewed operations by the Tigrayan Defense Forces, and obviously it's of great concern to those B loyalist formations and the regular army units of the ENDF that are directed towards the Tigray region. Again, the TDF continues to maintain a fully mobilized force of anywhere from just over 200, 250, upwards to 400,000 personnel. Again, it's difficult to ascertain the exact numbers and the exact fighting strength of the Tigrayan Defense Forces, but I think a fairly conservative and reasonable low end would be around 200,000. On the upper end, we have heard upwards to 400,000 forces. So again, a lot of the ENDF capability continues to be directed out of concern of another possible Tigray Defense Force operation into the Amhara region. Again, the TDF has proven the ability to penetrate deep into the Amhara region and take large areas of territory. And again, right now the ENDF appears to be positioning itself for a possible another offensive by the TDF. Now, we have heard reports that ENDF, OB loyalist formations, and specifically high-ranking officers having discussions with elements of the Eritrean army, specifically in the Afar region. Now, does that mean that we could see a renewed operation possibly by the ENDF and the Eritrean army directed towards the Tigray region? I would say that is of low probability at this point. I think, given the status of the ENDF, the casualties that it took in the ensuing both the invasion of the Tigray region, the eviction of the Tigray region, and the further invasion of the TDF into the Amhara region, has really limited the capabilities of the ENDF for renewed offensive operations against the TDF and specifically the Tigray region. And I think even the Eritrean forces, while not publicly acknowledged, have taken a tremendous amount of casualties in over the course of the last year, especially even its operations in the northern Tigray region. Again, the Eritrean army did not escape this conflict unscathed. The Eritrean army as well took fairly significant casualties in its operations, especially in the vicinity of Adigrat, Adwa, Axum, Shire, and Shiaro. We saw that the Eritrean army as well in its efforts to conquer the Tigray region also took significant casualties in some of those operations. And remember, at one point we saw the Eritrean army attempt a operation in conjunction with OB loyalist formations, actually a move into the Tenbian region, and we know with absolute certain that operation went horrifically for the Eritrean army, and then eventually led to the withdrawal of most of Eritrean forces from the northern Tigray region. So right now, the ENDF really has its hands full, or at least a lot of the regional forces has its hands full with the Oromo Liberation Army and with the defense of Addis Ababa. A lot of the Abiy regime's resources right now are focused on the defense of Addis Ababa and preventing a fairly aggressive push by the OLA into Addis Ababa proper. So most of the regime forces, again, are really focused on, with regime security, focused on maintaining security in and around Addis Ababa, and against a very, very large city with urbanized areas around the capital as well. So a lot of those forces are focused on the maintaining of security around that area, while the rest of the regime forces are really kind of focused on the prevention of a renewed Tigrayan Defense Force push into the Amhara region. And again, most of those second echelon, third echelon forces, lower quality forces, are being used to in both defensive and some limited offensive operations against the Oromo Liberation Army. But again, those forces, those second echelon, third echelon forces, are proving not to be doing very well against the OLA, as the OLA continues to take territory and besiege, in certain cases, some very, very fairly large cities, not too far outside the environments of Addis Ababa, to include Ambo. But that's the situation on the ground. Yes, we've heard about the discussions about this new operation by the Abiy loyalist formations against the OLA. Again, these appear to be a lesser grade of quality of forces. that are being utilized, and we don't anticipate those forces will have the kinds of success that is anticipated from the Prosperity Party and the Abiy regime and its alleged counteroffensive against the OLA. We believe at this point this operation by the Abiy regime is more or less an active defensive operation that, again, probably is not going to do very well because, again, some of the best forces, some of the best Abiy regime forces, again, are utilized to protect the actual regime itself within the environments of Addis Ababa, and obviously also continue to watch the Tigrayan Defense Forces and are also being utilized to prevent a renewed push by the Tigrayan Defense Forces into the Amhara region, specifically in the directions from Alamata and within the area near Sokoto. And at the same time, as we know, the TDF is also positioned for a possible operation into western Tigray, which would obviously lead into direct confrontation against the Eritrean army and its strong points in the Humera region, over here where my cursor is kind of circling. So that is what we have for today. We'll continue to cover what is happening inside of the former state of Ethiopia with continued coverage as the days and weeks continue. Have a good day, everybody.